Welcome to Kent County, Maryland, Department of Planning, Housing, and Zoning Administrative Hearing. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you.
Hi, I'm not able to see you guys. I'm not sure why.
Yep, okay, thank you. Today is March 30th, 2023, and we're reviewing applications submitted by Mr. and Mrs. Kraft, Mr. and Mrs. Freeze, Mr. Roca, and Mr. and Mrs. Gordon. So if you are here to give any testimony, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you declare that the testimony you are about to give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Okay. So we have an order of agenda. We will go through that order for each case, for each application. A member of the team will read into the record the staff report or a summary of that staff report. And then after that point, the applicant or anyone present can ask questions about the staff report. Then the applicant usually comes forward or their representative and summarizes their case. Then anyone can ask the applicant questions. And then if there's anyone present who is in opposition to any item, then it would be their turn to make a presentation, and anyone present can question them. And at the end, closing arguments are permitted if anyone wants to do that. So. Happy to start out with the first item. I think I'm just going to ask, are Mr. and Mrs. Kraft or the representative present? Yep, okay, good. If you'd like to come forward, we'll start that hearing. That's hearing number 23-14, an administrative special exception for an accessory structure at 14348 Roberts Drive. Oh, yeah, sorry, thank you. And before we do that, our clerk will read into the record the advertisement that we place in the newspaper. That's part of the step. Thank you. And if you wouldn't mind just doing it for all of them. Yeah, thank you.
The following notice was posted in the Kent County News on March 23rd, 2023. Notice is hereby given that on Thursday, March 30th, 2023 at 11 a.m., the Kent County Director of Planning, Housing, and Zoning will hold a public hearing in the County Commissioner's hearing room at 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland. Richard and Regina Kraft requesting an administrative special exception to build a second story on an existing garage to a height of 23 feet, exceeding the allowable height of 17 feet on a property less than 5 acres. The property is located at 14348 Roberts Drive in the 1st Election District and is zoned critical area residential. David and Robin Freeze requesting an administrative special exception to construct an accessory structure that exceeds 17 feet in height on a property less than 5 acres. The property is located at 12533 Still Pond Creek Road in the 3rd Election District and is zoned critical area residential. Robert Roca requesting an administrative special exception to construct an accessory structure that exceeds 1,200 square feet on a property less than 5 acres. The property is located at 22540 Goose Hollow Drive in the 6th Election District and is zoned critical area residential. Paul and Tanya Gordon requesting an administrative special exception to construct a swimming pool and in addition to an existing screened porch in the front yard of a waterfront property. The property is located at 22598 Davis Creek Drive in the 5th Election District and is zoned Resource Conservation District. Members of the public may attend the meeting in person or observe and or comment on the meeting via the audio-only phone number and conference ID number. Dial 872-239-8359. Enter conference ID 957-860-875 #. Letters were mailed to adjacent property owners of the applicants on March 17th, and the properties were posted on March 20th.
Thank you very much. And am I correct in the fact that no correspondence has been received for any of the items?
No correspondence was received for these applications.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All righty. So to begin with, I believe we will have a summary report from Mr. Carper about this application. And just to ask, sir, have you had an opportunity to read the report and see it? You have. Okay. So Mark, if you wouldn't mind giving us sort of highlights of that report, since it's on record, posted online, and you've already read it. So thank you.
Yes, this is for Richard and Regina Kraft proposing to do a renovation to the existing garage.
You might need to, Mark, you might need to be a little bit louder.
I beg your pardon.
No, you're fine.
This is for Richard and Regina Kraft. They're requesting special exception to add on to an existing garage will put the total square footage and height to exceed that which is allowable on properties under 5 acres. Um, The Article 7, Section 2 of the Kent County Code does establish the standards by which a special exception is granted. And our comments in regards to those standards are as follows. MDOT, Department of Public Works, reviewed this application, have no issues with county approval. Health Department has stipulated that they would approve with condition no plumbing or conditioned air construction is to be permitted. We believe the proposed development will be rear yard will not have any adverse impact on adjacent properties or character neighborhood or surrounding areas. Proposed structure will have a footprint that's 240 square feet larger than an existing garage. Area of the pool patio is reduced by that same amount, resulting in narrow net increase in lot coverage. There will be no impact to community facilities or services nor any adverse effect on water quality, fish, wildlife, or plant habitat. And the comprehensive plan is neutral in its application. Proposed development is reasonable use of the property. Staff recommends approval of special exception for the addition of the second floor and loft to an existing garage for use as an office, fitness area, and storage. The following conditions: no plumbing or conditioned air to the structure is permitted unless approved by the health department. There's to be no net increase in lot coverage, and that the special exception will lapse after 1 year if no construction in accordance with plans have begun. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So, sir, would you like to, I'm afraid I have to ask your name.
This is Tor Powell.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tor.
Or can you turn on your microphone?
Sorry, the mask kind of threw me off a little bit, so.
Yeah, no problem, Bill. Yeah, my wife has some health issues, so I go in public places, I put a mask on. So basically, the whole proposal of this, and Mark and I had to work together verifying some things and working through the square footage, but is to reach a zero net increase of square footage, but still achieve the structure that they would like. We definitely did our due diligence in terms of looking at what it could impact both environmentally and to neighbors' viewpoints, things of that nature. It really is non-impactful, basically. So, and the neighbors, the closest adjacent neighbor they're good friends with as well, and have no, they talked to them even before any of this started. So, basically with no environmental impact, no neighbor inclusion, it really kind of seems like there's no major inhibitants from doing the project. The health department, I guess, was the most significant. It's just they don't want it to be a lived-in structure, essentially.
Right.
So the Crafts and I, we had originally proposed a bathroom, and the health department said, that would require a whole bunch of work. And, because they're not really looking at this as any sort of actual living quarters, that was no problem just removing the bathroom. Essentially the structure is going to match the existing aesthetics of the house proper. Essentially with all those things kind of worked out, we're just asking for the exception to go ahead and build the structure as we've drawn. With all the details that I've worked through with Mark and the health department.
Okay, excellent, thank you, appreciate it. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the project? Seeing none, I'd like to include the staff report and TAC comments formally on the record. I'd like to include your comments. Based on the staff recommendation and your presentation, I would decide for approval of the project. There will be a written decision that will be sent out to you. These decisions are appealable with a 30-day period, so we can work on building permits during that time, but we wouldn't be able to issue a building permit until 30 days, at least 30 days after this hearing. So Mark will follow up with a decision. Appreciate you coming down and making a really good presentation and all the materials, so thank you very much.
In working, thank you, Phil. In working through this, we are going to do the deduction of some of the pool deck area. In doing that, is there any note that needs to be made on the permit that we're gonna repair, replace the pool decking. And if so, I'm happy to deal with whatever that is. It's just, it's kind of it's almost a forced hand to do it at this point because we are going to reduce the size, which changes the shape. So I don't know whether that is just included in this permit as part of a stipulation, or do we need a separate one? And I don't know whether that question has to be answered today. I was just putting it out there that the work has to happen to make the permit good anyway.
Right.
So I just want to make sure we don't need anything stated, or whether we have to go through any other separate permit for that.
Right. I think we've discussed this before, unless there is some specific reason, it can be combined, correct?
It can be combined, and I guess my question would be, are you replacing all of the pool decking, or are you just cutting away the area that needs to be reduced?
Because of removing that area, I think we're going to go ahead and replace it all at this
Okay.
point. It just makes sense. So that's why I'm mentioning it. I just want to make sure that we don't need any other paperwork. And I wouldn't, it seems to make sense to wrap it together to me. The work has to coincide with the work, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we're dotting all the i's as we're supposed to, so.
I think we typically do the pool decking replacements as a sediment control permit, just the same way we would do a patio.
Okay, so I can just add that to this permit essentially?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carla. Okay. Thanks, Troy. All righty. Next on our agenda is Mr. and Mrs. Freeze. Would like to come forward? And for this one, Carla has the staff
We're
report.
not Mr. and Mrs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is Mrs. Freeze and our contractor.
Got it.
Right.
Thank you. Yes, no,
For
I'm just reading. I apologize, yeah. Don't want to start anything. Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's a small town.
All righty. And have you all had a chance to read the staff report?
Yes,
Yes, okay. So then, and it's posted online, so a summary, I think, would be
Yep,
appropriate. Yep, thank you.
So Mr. and Mrs. Freeze are requesting a special exception to construct a accessory building that will be 50 feet by 34 feet and have a partial second story with a height to the peak of 26 feet. The total floor area is 2,346 square feet. There's an existing 24-foot by 50-foot foundation on which the building will be constructed with a 10-foot by 50-foot extension. The standards for or the applicable law is the same as the previous application. And staff comments. The proposed accessory building will be located in the rear yard. It's going on to mostly an existing foundation. It's approximately 30 feet from the closest property line. There will be approximately 500 square feet of new lot coverage, and a buffer enhancement plan will be required. The proposed building will provide storage, studio, and outdoor family space, and the surrounding area is characterized by single-family dwellings and farmland. The closest dwelling is about 170 feet away. The Health Department has approved with a condition that no plumbing or conditioned air to the structure is permitted. Staff recommends approval with the following conditions. Again, no plumbing or conditioned air is permitted unless approved by the Health Department, that a buffer enhancement plan will be required for any increase in lot coverage, and the special exception would lapse after 1 year if no construction has begun.
Thank you. What would you all like to present for the application?
well, I guess we purchased the property 3 years ago, and that foundation was existing. It's kind of an eyesore. We, I guess, have not completely retired down here yet, but that's our plan, and we both have, interests that right now when we're down here, our house is kind of an open concept, so there's really one big room, kitchen, living room area, and not a lot of space to individualize, and so we thought of using that existing foundation to expand our personal living space so we could live down here full time.
Can I ask one question?
Of course.
So the building plans that we received
Yes.
do actually give a much better picture than what had originally been submitted.
Right.
But do you know what the median height is? I could tell from the drawing what it went to the peak.
I have the actual, like, it might be hard to see on the electronic version.
I didn't know if your builder happened to know, just to put that sort of on the record.
Well, it's, yeah, I mean, this is, it's on the driveway side, that one smaller building is the 22 feet. And then on the two-story section, it's 26.
Right, that goes all the
But
way, do you know what,
that's-
do you know what that median height is?
It would be roughly 23 feet on that
23,
one
okay.
side, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so they're going to the median
I see.
of the.
It's, we have a definition of how we determine
Yeah,
height.
That's why he's here.
And I will say, part of the height issue is the grade on the one side of the building.
Right.
So that's, we're working with an existing foundation, so it's already in place. We have to build there. And the one side does fall off fairly, well, it's 4 to 5 feet of grade difference from one end to the other, so.
And the area where it's going to, the footprint is expanding, are there any trees or okay, it's just
It's
lawn?
just grass.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none?
I guess I had a question
yeah.
about, I had talked to Carla about the non-conversion agreement, and I didn't know if there was any news on
There is
that.
no news. We have reached out to the health department to see if a non-conversion agreement would allow them to have conditioned airspace in the structure. And we're,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that can continue to be worked on as we move through the building permit review process, so.
And I understand that's sort of why the staff recommendation, the condition is structured for health department approval as opposed to a specific thing being approved, right? So if they approve the non-conversion agreement as opposed to the no air-conditioned space, then that meets the condition. So,
Yeah.
Written sort of flexibly.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'd like to include formally the staff report and TAC comments, and also your presentation. I would recommend approval based on what's presented in the project. It's a good-looking project. And maybe just to explain a little why we go through this process, when there are buildings that are proposed to be, at least from our code's point of view, oversized and of a little different nature, larger, then we have these hearings so that a newspaper ad is published, neighbors get a letter, so that people, if they have a concern in the neighborhood, can express themselves and show up. So that's kind of what the process is about. So clearly, we have no objection on the record. Looks like a nice project, so don't have any problem with moving forward. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And as I said, sorry, and the written decision usually takes a couple weeks, and we'll reach out to you about that. And as you know, the building permit, there's a 30-day appeal period, so we can't issue the permit any sooner than 30 days, and we'll continue to work on it during that time. So, yeah, all right, thank you. All righty, and next we have Mr. Roca's project. If you'd like to come forward, sir. And Mr. Carper, I believe this is your item, although I don't see it. There you are. Okay, hey, Mark. When you speak, Mark, can you turn your head towards your mic? I think as you're turning side to side, it's changing reception.
Okay.
Yep.
I
And
don't really
just-
know where the mic is on this computer, but I'll give it a shot.
Okay, thank you. And sir, have you read the staff report? Have you had a chance to see it and read it?
Yes, I have.
Yes, okay, perfect. And it's also posted online, so Mark, if you can give a summary of that report, that'd be helpful. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Robert Roca and Breon Gilleron are wishing to expand an existing garage accessory structure that would result in it being larger than the allowable amount in terms of floor area for property under 5 acres. As was previously stated in regards to the requirements, general standards for special exceptions, staff and TAC reports are as follows. Similar to the other 2 cases, Health Department has approved with condition of plumbing or conditioned air the structure is permitted. The proposed development will be in the rear yard and will not have any adverse impact on adjacent properties or the character of the neighborhood or the surrounding area. This proposed structure would increase the lot coverage, and a buffer enhancement plan has been submitted for review. There's to be no impact to community facilities or services or any adverse effect water quality, fish, wildlife, or plant habitat. Comprehensive plan is neutral as application. The proposed development is reasonable use of the property, and we do recommend approval of the special exception, the following conditions. No plumbing or conditioned air to the structure is permitted unless approved by Health Department. Final approval of the submitted buffer enhancement plan, and that the special exception would lapse after expiration of 1 year if no substantial construction in accordance with the plans presented occurs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Sir?
Well, so we've owned this property for about 10 years now. I think our ultimate plan is to be here full-time. And one of the things that would help make that workable for us is to expand the garage a bit to accommodate my wife's need for a somewhat larger studio space. I mean, she's an artist and needs a little more studio space than she has on the property. And so the plan entails expanding the garage to create more studio space for her, and also some storage for the kinds of things that you normally need to store in a garage. And there would be above the extended studio space, there would be an opportunity to put an extension on the existing second floor bedroom there. It would not be another bedroom, it would just be an extension of the space there, since the it would be practical to do that, given the fact that the studio space is going to expand beneath it. So that's basically the idea. I think it brings the total square footage to a little bit over 1,500 square feet.
Thank you.
That's it.
Good explanation. So, and this has all the same conditions within the health department as the other matters, right? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Mark, hey. Just confirming it's the same conditions with the health department, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, all righty. Well, based on the, what we've received, TAC comments, the staff report, and your comments, and the, obviously no one has expressed any objection in the neighborhood, so that's a good thing. So I would approve the application. There'll be a written decision that'll follow and be sent to you. Usually that's done in a couple of weeks, and as I've said with all the others, we continue to work on building permits if they're in, and we just can't issue a building permit until 30 days lapses. So.
Sure.
But usually we get a lot done in that period anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah. All righty.
Very good.
Well, thank you for coming down, sir.
Thanks very much.
Good luck with your plans.
Thank you.
Okay, our last item is for Mr. and Mrs. Gordon, and I imagine they have a representative or are present. Are you Mr. Gordon?
Miles Barney.
You are Miles Barr. I'm sorry. I'm having a terrible morning. Thank you, sir. All righty. Thank you.
You ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So Mr. and Mrs. Gordon are requesting the special exception for accessory structures in the front yard of a waterfront parcel in order to build an in-ground pool, patio, and an addition to an existing screen house. The property is zoned Resource Conservation District. The applicable law, special exception standards are the same as in the previous applications today. The proposed improvements won't have a negative impact on surrounding areas. The nearest dwelling is over 200 feet away. This is considered forest interior dwelling bird habitat and will have time of year restrictions. And so no outdoor construction will be permitted from April 1st to August 31st. There will be a net increase for this project in lot coverage of 4,154 square feet. A buffer enhancement plan and a buffer mitigation plan will be required. A single tree will be removed, and staff recommends approval with the following conditions: that the final buffer mitigation and enhancement plan are approved, that the buffer is staked prior to beginning construction, that a non-conversion agreement be recorded with the building permit for the screen house to prevent future conversion to an accessory dwelling unit. No exterior construction is permitted from April 1st through August 31st. The health department approves the building permit, and the exception would lapse after 1 year if no substantial construction has begun.
And the additional conditions are really based on the location of the project being, I'm assuming, in a FIDS area?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. All righty. Thank you very much. Miles?
Not too much to say. We'd simply like to, my clients would like to build a swimming pool on the water side of the house, which of course makes it the front yard and kind of kicks us into this process, and also, you know, a pretty large addition to an existing detached screen porch that is in the same area. And that's pretty much the nature of our project.
And this property actually has quite a bit of water, doesn't it?
It does. Yep. It's a pretty large property and a beautiful piece of property. Yep.
Good, all righty. Well, thank you. I guess,
Ask
as,
if there's anybody who wants to speak.
yes, is there anyone here in opposition to the project? No, okay. As with the previous items, I would want to formally include on the record, the staff report, the comments by TAC, and also your comments now. We've received no correspondence. It's been properly advertised and would like to go ahead and approve the project. We'll do a written decision about that and get that out to you and continue to process the building permit application, so.
Great.
Do you have any questions of us?
I guess we'll, based on our site visit, we'll update our buffer management plan.
Yep.
And then we see the comments from TAC about the health department. There was sort of no detail, just saying we request more information.
Correct.
But I guess it's up to me to contact them and
Yes.
find out what that additional info is. Yeah. So, no other questions.
All righty. Okay, well, thanks for coming down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Should I turn this guy off?
Sure.
Be good. All righty. And sir, do you want to say anything at any? Nope. No, thank you. I was just spectating. Okay, well, you're welcome to do that. Glad to have someone. That property. Ah, okay, all righty. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, we are officially concluded. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you guys for accommodating me. And
Of course.
hopefully I'll see you soon.